Warning! I want to play a board game. What's up, everyone, and welcome to the ASOTV podcast for Pretty Little Liars, Season 7, Episode 11, Playtime. I'm your host, Dom. With me is Nikki.
Hi.
Hello. How's it going?
It's going.
So, what are you doing at a recovery facility in New York?
Absolutely shit all.
Are you thrilled that they have to break and reset your bones?
I mean, I've had worse.
Have you? Have you now?
Yeah.
Okay. No, but so Ezra and Nicole, Nikki,
Mm-hmm.
right? That's you.
Yeah, I guess.
You and Ezra, I think.
Not anymore.
Oh, not anymore. Okay, got it. Yeah, but it was kind of surprising. Ezra came home. Arya was there. Their bags packed. She's all ready to leave. Just like I said, she's not gonna stick around there. I was right. I knew she wouldn't. Until Ezra walked through the door and was like, "What are you doing?" And I was shocked to see that Ezra didn't come home with you. I mean, with Nicole.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. The synopsis last week made it seem like he was bringing Nicole home with him.
Yeah.
But that wasn't the case at all.
Nope. So, like I said, it was revealed that her bones were broken when she was abducted. They healed incorrectly, so now they have to break and reset the bones. But yeah, and it's coincidence that you live in New York, and Nicole's there at a recovery facility with her parents. But apparently she wasn't ready to talk to Ezra, and I understand that. You just went through this big traumatic experience. The last thing you're gonna do is so what are we doing about our relationship? I totally get that. So
yeah,
Arya's kind of in a weird spot too, because she's continuing to plan the wedding. At the Hannah's like, look, you gotta go through with it. You gotta live your life. He didn't say the wedding's off.
I like how the way Hannah prefaced the whole conversation. She's like, I've been through an engagement before. You just gotta go with it. It's like, excuse me, what, Hannah? You are fucking broken up now with your, there's no engagement anymore.
Yeah.
I thought it was funny. Hannah was actually really comical this episode.
She's comical every episode.
I haven't really felt that with the whole deal with Nola and stuff, like the whole her just being obsessive about doing the detective work on her own.
Even the last episode, before the mid-season break, when she was saying stuff like, yeah, but now everybody's gonna think I abducted him. Yeah, Hannah, you did abduct him. Yeah, but now we can prove it. It's just all the stupid shit she says just makes me laugh so hard,
I felt that it was a little bit dialed up this episode.
It seems always... Come on, the Gazebo? Do you not remember the famous Gazebo line?
I never forget about the Gazebo. Every time I see Hannah's face, I think of the Gazebo and the geese in a row.
Yeah.
And that they, ducks honk and all this bullshit. Or geese honk. I don't even know anymore.
Yeah, I
She's
think
so
that was
ridiculous.
a Spencer line, with the... her and Spencer arguing, and Spencer's just like, geese honk.
Yeah.
But yeah. What's the difference? Geese honk, That was a very, very old line. That was at least, I think, minimum 4 seasons ago. And it still stands out to me like it was a quote that happened last week, It's ridiculous. But, yeah, no, I get it. But at the same time, Arya can't be sitting in limbo, being like, what's going on?
No.
Especially with Nicole up in New York, but at the same time, you can't pretend that everything's okay either. So it's kind of a weird situation. But I think she should have sat down with Ezra and just been like, what do you want to do? You want to just hold this off for a little bit and try to figure things out, or should we go about thing as planned, and just kind of test the waters without giving like a definitive like we need to make a decision. Are we doing this? Yes or no? Like just kind of test the water on it.
I can tell you how that would have went already. Ezra's still super, super distracted, and he's obviously, his mind is on Nicole right now because she's still in turmoil, even though she's been saved. So, I mean, it's obvious that he cares a lot about her. We kind of discussed it last episode.
He wrote a whole book on her.
Exactly. So, he's still really, really involved with her. So, even to sit him down and just kind of test the waters, you wouldn't be able to get a good like where his head is at. You wouldn't be able to figure it out because he's so distracted.
Yeah. Well, while Arya and Hannah are looking for reception,
it looks like they were looking for a venue.
Yeah, like a reception venue. We see Holden, right? And he looked familiar to me, and I was like, the name sounded very familiar to me, but I couldn't quite place it. And I looked him up, and the last time we saw him was in season 3, which was a very long time ago. 5 seasons ago. So, or 4 seasons ago. And for the most part, he was in one episode in season 3. He was in the church. It was a church scene, and he had like a flashback or two that episode. But he was primarily in season 2, so even further back. He was in, I think, 6 or 7 episodes in season 2, and he played a love interest for Arya. And it was, if I remember correctly, it was during the whole Arya and Ezra kind of got found out ordeal, and it's a no-no to be with your teacher, so she kind of had to go and live a normal high school life, so right. She was dating boys her own age and stuff like that. So yeah, that's where Holden was from. So been a very long time since we saw him, and he's just like, I was thinking about you. I can't believe you're getting married, all this stuff, and he's like, I was gonna call you up and ask you on a date or something, and she's like, yeah, I'm with Ezra, and you could tell he wasn't too thrilled with that, but
no,
because that was such a controversial issue back in season 2 with him. But Hannah has to go run off and do things with Mona, so she kind of gets stuck there with Holden. Holden brings her back, and they bump into Ezra, and Ezra gets the phone call from Nicole's parents, and they want him to come up to New York.
So there wasn't even really time to sit him down and talk.
No.
At that point.
I mean, but before you go looking for venues is my point.
Yeah.
You should have sat down and talked. But, yeah.
What you're saying is the last person you should have gone to for advice is Hannah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hannah, I love you, but no.
Yeah.
No, sorry. Don't. Yeah, okay. So anyway, the episode started off... We're jumping around quite a bit here, but I got distracted because you were in New York.
I still am.
Yeah, well, I know. But, so we pick up this episode exactly where we left off from the mid-season break like 9 months ago. And we see Spencer getting taken away in the ambulance to the hospital. She's been shot, obviously. She's lost a lot of blood. She's in and out of consciousness. We see Toby get wheeled in. We get a 1 week later kind of flashback. We learn that Yvonne is in a medically induced coma. She has not woken up since the accident. And Jenna and Mary are both missing.
Mm-hmm.
And we also find out that Spencer was shot with a .22 caliber gun, while the gun that Jenna Marshall had was a .45 caliber gun. So Jenna did not shoot Spencer. And if you remember last episode before the finale, before the mid-season finale, Jenna even said, "Are you the one that shot Spencer?"
Mm-hmm.
So Jenna knew she didn't shoot.
She knew she wasn't going to hit anything.
Maybe. I don't know. For all we know, the gun could have been loaded with blanks.
It's true. We do know that, Jenna, like all the rest of the A's that we've come across, likes to play games with the girls, so.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So, I don't know. We have Toby and Yvonne. They're kind of got roped back in, and like Toby even goes, this town, it's got a hold on you and all this stuff, and it seems really coincidental that Toby crashed his vehicle due to like an animal.
Yeah, a deer.
Yeah, deer. I don't buy that. I don't buy that for a minute. There's no accidents in this town.
No,
There's
I don't think it
none.
was a deer.
I mean, I'm sure it was a deer, but I think the deer was on purpose. Like
The deer was placed.
someone had the deer, spooked it, made it run out into the road. Yeah. You out of everything that A has done, you think that is strange? Like, are you kidding me?
And I don't think it's strange. I just think it's more unlikely than anything that
Toby's
we've come
not going to be
across.
like, there was a deer, and I swerved to avoid the deer, and there wasn't a deer. You know? He's not going to make that up. Not Toby. Toby's like the last person about cover-ups.
And that's where the writers take the twist and be like, the most innocent character is the one that's doing all the bad.
So you're saying Toby's AD?
I'm not saying that. I'm still on the Ezra as the big bad train, and I've been like that since episode 1, or ever since he was in the first season.
There's
That was episode 1.
kind of a new theory that's been going around lately, and huge spoilers that may or may not be true. We've seen the same thing going on with what was it, 2 seasons ago or last season with Ren is A, and that turned out to be not true. So take it with a grain of salt. But the big rumor going around that is a quote unquote potential leak is that Allison does in fact have a twin sister, just like in the books.
Okay.
And that the baby that Mary tried to drown in the hot water was actually Allison's twin. And holding the child under the water, it was hot water, made the child blind, which would connect Allison's sister to Jenna Marshall and the school for the blind and all that. Kind of setting all that up. Said something about there's going to be a giant fire and Mona's going to die and trying to save the girls and all that stuff. And this would be the second time Mona's died in the series. But yeah, I don't know. Like it's a lot. A lot of it parallels the books though. So
Okay.
we don't know. We don't know. It just sounds like somebody who's very in tune with the books and in tune with the show is kind of throwing out this crazy theory to try to lure people in and make them believe, that this is the end and, that they know everything that's going on. But like I said, somebody made a very, very convincing argument that Ren was A, and we even did a podcast about it, just covering that one specific topic, which turned out not to be true. We did preface that it was huge rumor base, but
Yeah.
yeah, so take it with a grain of salt. Anyway, Caleb is actually really understanding this episode too. Like, he's actually pushing Hannah to get back into her fashion job, right? Something that tore them apart to begin with. So to see Caleb do that was actually kind of big of him. It's like, look, we had some trouble with it, but we both grown because of it, and this is what you love doing, and you got to do it.
Even though Hannah's a lot of the same person as when she was before the big time jump, she's grown a lot and she's learned a lot.
Yeah.
She's learned from her mistakes, and instead of being obsessed with fashion, she's come to be like, yes, it's still my calling. I'm going to work on it, but I also have Caleb and he's supporting me. So, she's definitely balancing.
Caleb was supporting her
She
the
was
whole
obsessed.
time too, but she just kind of ignored him. She took the high road of not the high road, but she took the road to fame, over everything. It's like, oh, you're big, let me go talk to you and ignore everybody else, kind of. That, that's how she was. And
she was obsessed with the job.
she's always obsessed with something. That's the thing
Yes.
with Hannah, though.
She also wanted to impress her over entitled freaking boss.
Mm-hmm.
And her boss is really, she has a big name. So in order just being even like a little assistant in that game just made her feel a little bit taller than everybody else.
Yeah.
So, I mean, yeah, she was pushing Caleb away at that point because she wanted to focus on getting those stars for Stardom.
Yep. But with Caleb's push, she actually talks to Mona. Mona offers help, and we find out that
She offers the help and just fucking does it,
yeah,
doesn't you know?
pretty much. And we find out that Mona has contacts with Catherine Daly, who is the father of, or the daughter of Senator Daly, big senator. So this is kind of Hannah's shot at a big break because as uh, Mona mentioned, it doesn't matter. Nobody's going to be looking to see your paperwork and all this stuff when, like, somebody, in the know, whatever, somebody's modeling your stuff, and, like, that's all they're going to care about. That's all they're going to look at. So you see Hannah's eyes are all lighting up, and she's shocked that Mona's helping her like this, and, they even exchange, a really kind of funny banter of, do you trust me? And Hannah's like, sometimes. And Mona's like, well, let this be one of those times,
Mm-hmm.
And then it kind of almost blows up in Mona's face because Catherine is under the false assumption that Mona is Hannah's boss.
Yeah.
And when she lets that I can't say slip, but when she reveals that her assumption to Hannah, both Hannah and Caleb kind of flip out, get flustered. I don't know what the right word is for that, but they had every right to.
Yeah, I mean, not to flip out at, like, especially Hannah. Caleb can question it, definitely. That's what he did. Hannah did flip out.
Yeah.
And Mona was just really trying, like, she overdoes things when she's trying to help Hannah. She always has. And so, like, to, like, have that initiative, of course Catherine's gonna think that Mona is heading the operation because she is just so exuberantly, like, she's just out there in your face, and Hannah's the one in the back, and it looks like she's doing all the dirty work.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I understand why Catherine thought that Mona was Hannah's boss, and for Hannah to flip out at that capacity was kind of out of line. She should have been like, hey, Mona, this is what Catherine said, instead of been like, oh my God, Catherine said this to me.
Well, I mean, Hannah's just getting back into this, and, like, she's already dealt with her boss taking over and taking, all this stuff, so she's not thinking logically, and that's never Hannah. Hannah overreacts and she jumps. She's a quick trigger, just fires immediately before she thinks. She does before she thinks. And I honestly don't fault her for that because it was seeming like Mona was taking control, was making it seem like that she was the boss. Though those words were never stated, they were never spoken. Like, the intention, it seemed like it was in that direction, and I think Mona could definitely see that after Hannah kind of said something to her. That's why Mona actually called Catherine, cleared it up. So looks like there's not going to be any more issues with that.
What bothered me though when she called, she was, I just have to clean up a little microscopic problem. Like, it's not microscopic to Hannah.
No, but to Catherine it would be.
It's true.
So you kind of got to know how to talk to your clients. That's why you watch the movie Jingle All the Way, and Arnold Schwarzenegger's telling everybody, and remember, you're my number one customer. Like, everybody's his number one customer, but he's got to cater to the clients. But so I was mentioning how Caleb was really kind of understanding this episode. We go from that to, Paige and Emily situation.
Oh,
yeah, I was waiting. I could have done a countdown to your eye roll.
It was more like a freaking love triangle. It's not just Paige and Emily. You have to include Allison in that too.
Yeah.
And I wanted to just strangle each and every one of them. If I had 3 arms, they would have all been strangled.
Emily didn't need to be strangled this episode. Emily was actually the only one in the right this whole time. She stayed
was.
out of it, like, for the most part. Like,
The thing was, though, with Emily, she let everyone shut her down when she had something to say. She should have been like, no, shut your freaking mouth and listen to me. Especially to Paige.
I think what she did was perfect during the meeting. But, like...
Well, during the meeting, yeah.
Yeah, because we find out they both got positions there. And that's when Allie walks in, and she's like, what is Paige doing here? Oh, well, she's the new athletic supervisor. Did they make the position just for her? Or did you request it? You know, like, she's already getting snippy. And Emily's, like, trying to talk to the faculty lady, and she's like, look, you know, there was not some good history between them. I don't know if putting them together is the best idea. You know, but Paige is like, look, I'm mature enough. We can get through this and handle this. But you see, the only person that's not mature enough is Allie, right? Mm-hmm. And she's sitting there, and before this, she's pushing Emily away. There's a lot of tension during the meeting. She's jumping down Paige's throat, trying to push buttons. And after everything she says, she turns to Emily, and she's just like, right, Em? Like, Em's supposed to be backing her up, and then she's gonna get mad at Emily for not backing her up. Like, she was intentional. It's like the volleyball set, you know, spike, you know, waiting for it. You know, she set it up. She's waiting for Emily to spike it. Guess what? It's not going to happen. So when Emily doesn't do it, Allie's going to get mad at her. She's doing it intentionally. And for Emily to not say anything during that meeting was the best thing. Like, she did speak up a little bit, but for her not to get involved for the most part was really good, because it shows Emily's actually the most mature of them, because Paige could have just ignored it, not fired back. But she did. She fired back, gave some snotty comments. Faculty lady's just like, look, we're gonna just change the topic to the bake sale. You know, like, just sweep it under the rug. And that's when Emily and Allison, you know, kind of talk. And Allison reveals, you know, the reason why she's jealous is because her and Paige had a past. And they had a real past, unlike Allison, whose past is, you know, a lie and... You know, everything with Archer.
Is that?
Right, but I'm saying everything with Archer Dunhill, you know, and all that, and she's not talking. Allison's not talking about, you know, all her high school life and everything. She's mainly just referring to the relationship with Archer. That's technically not her fault.
No.
You know, she wasn't aware somebody was pulling the wool over her eyes like that. But at the same time,
wasn't her argument that, like, I was the biggest liar and then I got outconned? That's nothing. You shouldn't be proud of being the biggest liar in the first place.
I don't remember her saying she was the biggest liar.
I know there was a comment where she said, I did all of this up to a certain point. I was the best. I did all this lying, and I was like I was a pro. And then here comes Archer, and he outcons me.
No, maybe.
I'm pretty sure there was a comment made. Either it wasn't this episode, but it was a prior episode.
Yeah, no, I've...
Definitely. But, like, still, like, that does come into play here. She's, you know...
She's just more upset that what she had was not real, and then she's watching, you know, Emily have this previous relationship that is real, and the way that Emily's treating Sabrina, and, you know, all this stuff, and then Allison's getting involved, and Emily's like, look, when you kissed me the other night, did you mean it, or was it for this reason? And Allison's just like, I don't know. So Emily's just like, well, don't kiss me again until you do know. And I'm just like, what are you doing? Like, you should not be associating with Allison at this point.
No, you should just walk out and be like, yeah, no thanks. The only thing that they should be even connecting over is this freaking board game. That's it.
Well, yeah.
That is the only connection that Emily should be worried about right now. She should just say, okay, Allie, you don't want my help. I'm trying to help you. You don't want it, obviously. You're pushing me away. So what the hell ever. And just walk away. Yeah.
Well, speaking of the board game, we AD dropped off, you know, this new box for them, board game. Spencer calls everybody over. They unbox it. It's this game called Liar's Lament, and Brian in chat says I was getting a Jumanji vibe from that board game, which is actually really funny because I was just watching Jumanji this week before the episode.
Yeah.
Because I have it on my Comcast, and it's just rewatching it, and I was kind of thinking the same thing when I was watching this episode. I'm not gonna lie. So, but this game, Liar's Lament, is like a truth or dare style game. The phone gets placed on the home, and you push the button, and you pick truth or dare. Spencer took it upon herself to play the game, right? After talking to all the girls about it and being like, we're not going to play it, they all leave. Spencer decides to play anyway. She gets a text message, all the usual stuff. So she picks dare.
It was after she had that big talk with Mrs. Hastings. Yeah. I'm not going to call her Spencer's mom anymore because we have no fucking idea anymore what's going on. So she's Mrs. Hastings.
We have a very good idea what's going on now.
Yeah, well, yeah, but I mean, I'm kind of doing what Emily did. She's like, Spencer's mom, Mrs. Hastings. So I'm just going with what Emily said was Mrs. Hastings. So the whole like taking on the game by herself was kind of something that spun off of this conversation because she was really upset, even though Miss Hastings came through and told her the truth.
Yeah, well, when I'm still gonna refer to her as her mom because biological or not, it's the person she grew up with. So it's been her mom her whole life. So that doesn't change now just because it's not biological. For
some reason, it's just like because of Spencer having an issue with it by calling Mrs. Hastings her mom, she kind of like breaks down. Yeah. So I don't know why I decided to go with Miss Hastings. It's probably for that reason. I'm trying to spare Spencer feelings, even though I don't know Spencer. I don't know.
I guess. But like when Mrs. Hastings walks through the door, and Spencer just kind of like gave this little recap of like all the events that she missed, and it's just like in the same breath, would you like a drink? And it's just like, are you kidding me? Like, would you like a glass of wine or whatever she said?
Well, to be fair, a glass of wine is exactly what. Even after Spencer, played the game and went and did what she had to do, she came back. There was a little bit of wine she had left in that glass, and she just chugged it when she got back.
Yeah.
So yeah, a little glass of wine goes a long way, apparently.
This is when Mrs. Hastings admit that Spencer is in fact Mary Drake's daughter, and told the whole story about how Jessica came to see her, and this was all during the affair with her husband, and apparently Mr. Hastings thought that Mary was Jessica, and they had a child together, and Mary was getting locked up, and she was in the insane asylum, and she was going to be pregnant, and Mrs. Hastings didn't want to see the child get lost in the system, which I totally get. Especially because, it's her husband, and then they're trying to work things out, and to know that her husband has a child, and as screwed up as that situation is, there's still some attachment to it for him, so that kind of puts an attachment on it for her.
Yeah.
So she doesn't want the child to get lost in the system. This is how we tie Noel Kahn into all this, because Judge Kahn, his father, was the one that did all the documentation and the cover up for it.
Yep.
Spencer's mom, Mrs. Hastings, she had Spencer 5 minutes after she was born. So she didn't give birth to her, but she's been with her entire life.
Yeah.
That is her mother. I don't care what Spencer says. It's how you were raised, not who. It's not. It's how and who you were raised, not anything else,
Blood in this case doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
Even though she's she's her father's daughter and all that jazz. Yeah, I know. We've been taught the whole blood thing isn't family.
Yeah.
Before through other series, so.
Yep. So dealing with like the aftermath of all this, that's when Spencer decides to play the game. She picks Dare. It says visit a sick friend, and it shows Toby's face. So at this point, Spencer doesn't know that Toby was still in town. Like, everybody kind of kept that from her because she was under a lot of stress. She's been healing, everything. So,
I thought Fury told her earlier in the episode that Toby was at the hospital, but
yeah,
she didn't know about Yvonne.
yes,
Okay.
he did, but I'm saying the girls didn't.
Right. Okay.
So they kind of kept it from her. Fury was, he did reveal it to her. So this is her first time she goes to visit Toby, and she just goes, has this chat. It's nothing very significant, no like major details revealed or anything like that. And when she comes back through the door, the board game spits out a note that was a handwritten apology letter from Mary.
Hmm.
It was kind of an apology note for giving her away and to let Spencer understand why and the circumstances revolving around it and all that.
Yeah.
Also in the envelope is a puzzle piece. So puzzle piece gets placed on the board game. I don't know what it's going to reveal, if anything. I'm assuming it will. But it looked like a pretty small puzzle piece, like
About 8 pieces.
yeah. I was gonna say 8 to 12 pieces,
Yeah.
and I don't know. She calls the girls up, and they kind of all get mad at her that she decided to play alone. But Hannah, I think it was Hannah or Aria, said, she kind of has a right, and like using the note as an evidence, like
I think it was Arya that said it was okay.
Yeah.
Hannah wanted to butcher knife the game
She wanted to pry it open the crowbar, and that's when
because she said
I think
if
Allison said it's not a piñata,
Yes. Hannah wanted to do it because if it spat out something like that for Spencer, what the hell else was in there?
Yeah. Yep. And, as Hannah approaches it with a knife, that's when the game starts flashing and flickering and, all this stuff. And you see a video of the girls digging up Roland's body back after they buried him, and they tried to re-dig him up to see if he was actually dead. We did know that there was somebody in the woods filming them at that point. Mm-hmm. So here we are, and now that video evidence is coming to fruition. Girls kind of have to finish playing the game now. So, as Brian did mention, it's kind of like Jumanji. Finish the game and it'll all go away.
Yep.
So.
It's like, could you imagine if that's how Monopoly was?
Oh, that'd be the worst.
I've actually flipped tables over Monopoly, so I would be in a lot of shit right now.
Yeah, so you wouldn't be able to play Liar's Lament is what you're saying, right?
No. That board looks pretty heavy, to be fair.
Board looks pretty heavy. It looks pretty detailed, too. Mm-hmm. I don't know how much of the board you actually paid attention to, but we did see a jail. Mm-hmm. We saw the hospital, the clock tower.
Yeah.
And there's even a building that was kind of wrapped in like
all their houses were there too.
Yeah, there's a building that was like a warehouse almost. It was wrapped in like a green thing, green and white speckled like building, like it would not actually look like that out in the world. That said mystery location on it. Mm-hmm. So I'm curious how that's gonna play in. And I know at one point if you paused the flickering of the cell phone directions, it actually gave instructions to watch another one of the shows that the CW or the Marlene
ABC.
King is involved in or something like that, right? Well, do you know the name of that show offhand?
No, and I don't really have any interest in it.
No, I don't either. I thought it was interesting that they would hide like a little detail like that. I'm gonna see if I can find the name of the
I almost don't think
Famous in Love.
Yes, that's the one.
Yeah. So yeah, if you pause it when it's flickering, it says "Watch Famous in Love" or something like that.
Yeah.
Which I thought was kind of cool. So I feel like we're definitely gonna get more of this board game.
Oh yeah.
Next episode for sure.
I think the rest of the season is based around this board game, so we're going to see lots of it.
I don't know if it's going to go that long. I mean, we only have 9 episodes left, so if it's
Well, if you gotta think,
if it's an 8-piece puzzle game,
exactly.
then maybe, but you'd be getting one piece an episode, and that seems like a very long time to drag on the board game. But
Not if they do it right.
yeah, that's true. That is true.
And then they leave the last episode to cover, like, to tie everything up. Yeah.
Brian mentions in chat. At least now we know the moms did eventually get out of the basement, and that's something we've been joking about so long in this podcast. Is the mothers all got locked in the basement that one night, and then they all just disappeared off the show, and we never saw. I think we saw Arya's mom like once after that, but like for the majority of the parents, we've never seen them again. I think we've seen some of them once or twice, here and there, but
after after teenage characters become adults, you don't really need much of the parents' inclusion because they're doing adult things. They don't need supervision or punishment for doing something wrong. It's all on them at that point.
Yeah. And Brad says, so does this mean that Spencer and Jason are siblings and cousins?
Oh, come on.
Yeah.
No, they share the same father.
They share the same father, but so Spencer's mom is Mary, and Jason's mom is Jessica.
Jessica.
And they're sisters.
So the answer to your question is yes.
Yeah. So yes, they are siblings and cousins at the same time.
It's not as messed up as it makes it just by saying that. It's not as messed up as it seems.
Yeah, no, it's not any like inbreeding or anything like that. But yeah, that's kind of
And to be fair, Mr. Hastings had no idea that Mary was not Jessica.
Yeah.
So.
Yep. For sure. And then this episode ends with Jenna having tea. And she goes, you said you'd tell me today about the game, and in which she's handed a giant book that is written entirely in Braille. Further evidence that Jenna is, in fact, actually blind. Right? Mm-hmm. So this is 2 episodes in a row now. I don't think they're going to like throw us for a loop and be like, oh, Jenna's not blind this whole time. No, she's blind. I'm positive on that now. And, she's reading a couple of the first sentences or whatever, and she goes, "Endgame," whatever, and then that's really all we find out. I was like, first thing I did was I paused it on the page, and I'm like, I need to transcribe this in Braille. Like, I got to see what this page says. But I was like, I'm sure people already did this. Let me see if I can save myself some time. So I went on the Pretty Little Liars subreddit, and somebody, in fact, did translate it. Turns out it actually says nothing that pertains to the show whatsoever. It was just like a transcribed science article. So, little detail that was overlooked there is they probably didn't think people were going to try to transcribe it.
After 7 years, they think nobody's going to try and go that extra mile and freaking, pause the screen on something that is written in this freaking series.
I don't know. I'm somebody who watched Lost, and after seeing the puzzles and stuff that were hidden in Lost, like details upon details upon details that you would never in a million years be able to pick up on your own. It was the collective mind working together to find these puzzles, and they were actually buried in the show. Like transcribing code from license plates into phone numbers to call and get voice messages. Like, the show was that detailed. So when I watch a show like this,
you expect it to be as detailed.
I expect not to be as detailed, but I expect the what they give you to be consistent. And unfortunately, this was not. So I'm not gonna fault it because not everybody's gonna read Braille. And to be honest, if you're reading like if you can read Braille, like you have to have a reason to do that. The 99 percentile of people watching this show cannot read Braille. So I'm gonna I'll give it to them that it's just saving a little time not having to do it, but at the same time, this is the final season. You should be going all out.
Yeah, I don't think it might have saved them 10 minutes. Like I feel
I don't know about
yeah,
that.
that's a little. I'm obviously over exaggerating, but I'm saying like to go that little bit, take those a little bit extra steps, couple extra steps, wouldn't have been that much more time.
Well, at the same time,
Even if it's
you
just
gotta think
because
of it like this: is
they only
anything
showed
that
one
they put,
page.
yeah, but anything they put is gonna be revealed, and they don't want to reveal stuff too early. Like, because if you do that and you get knowledge of too much, because one page is still a lot to reveal everything, and then you'd have to
For
film it in weird angles and all kinds of stuff like that. So, um,
for
it,
this particular scene with Jenna, she has no idea what has happened up to this point
no,
at
she
all.
doesn't.
So it could have told her what has already taken place, like with Spencer, like her finding out about Mary Drake. It doesn't have to reveal anything other than to her like, oh shit, it's coming to the end, and
Right.
that's when she could say endgame.
My point is at this time to like write a note and film it uh, because when they film, they don't necessarily film one episode at a time.
Oh,
Like
I
this
know.
scene could have been the first thing that was shot for this entire season, and at that point, you don't know exactly where it's going to be, so you can't reveal too much information. So I know you were over exaggerating, but when you say 10 minutes, it's something that probably would take like 2 or 3 days to figure out exactly where it's going to be placed, when it's going to be used, what it needs to say without revealing too much. I get it. It's a lot. So I am disappointed, but I do understand it all at the same time. So,
I mean, I think everybody that's watched up to this point knows that I'm not exactly super duper into this show.
hmm
And it is the little things like this that actually keep me watching.
hmm
So I'm more disappointed than you are because this actually really pissed me off that they cut corners. So like and like you said, this is their last season. They
yeah.
should have gone all out.
Yeah. Yep. But I like some of the little details though, like bringing Holden back, like a character in the grand scheme of things was a pretty minor character. Not as minor as some people, but somebody that I forgot about and never would have expected to see in the final season, let alone the back half of the final season. So bringing
It
back like nods to all this stuff is really cool because now it's like, huh, is he involved now? Like, is he playing a role?
honestly, I think that this it's the most simplest thing you can think of, and that is to cause a little bit of a more of a rift between Ezra and Arya because it's
Yeah.
obvious
Oh
that
yeah, for
she
sure.
likes Holden, not to the point where she'd like dump Ezra for him, but like she does like him to the point where she trusts him to drive her home and like asks him to drive her home kind of thing.
For sure.
So,
And I know like one of the big fan theories going into this season and everything was that Spencer's A and she's the one, and then you kind of had with Mary Drake being her mother, it's like putting more things on her, but then you have scenes like this with Spencer playing the board game by herself. Like nobody's around, she's getting the text message, she's not putting on a show for anybody, she's doing it for herself, which
yeah.
really, if they do try to pull the wool over our eyes now and be like, it was Spencer this whole time, scenes like that are really gonna get under my skin because it's like,
Yeah.
who were you trying to, like, you
I
could have
mean,
just done this, like
maybe
you could
she's
have
as
hit the button
crazy
on
as
the
everybody
phone,
thinks.
maybe you could have just hit the button on the phone, went to see Toby, came back, whatever, to make all the events that you were doing true, but you didn't need a text message from a phone to tell you to play the game to
No.
do it. I mean, maybe to show evidence that, hey, look, I was told to do this, whatever, but she was like acting, reacting to it, and like stuff that she was doing for our sake of the viewers at home, which
Yeah.
technically she should not be pandering to at that point,
No.
as a character, So,
Yeah.
but yeah. Anyway, next episode is called "These Boots Were Made for Stalking." Um, could a high schooler be part of AD's operation? Addison, a mini version of High School Alley, stirs up trouble. Emily butts heads with teenager Addison, who appears to be a new version of High School Alley, who may be connected to a familiar foe. Spencer confronts her mother about keeping family secrets. Arya confides in Holden about her relationship with Ezra, while Spencer turns to Detective Fury for help. Jenna stirs up even more trouble when she returns to Rosewood with some insight into Noel Khan and recent events. Dun dun dun. Actually seems kind of interesting now. Things are going to ramp up. These last 9 episodes, it's just going to be rapid fire, and
I hope so.
Yeah.
Because as soon as a lull hits, I'm going to, like, sit there and, like,
there's no
go
time.
comatose. Like,
there's no time
like
for
Yvonne.
it. No time for it. Like, that is the one thing that I can give Pretty Little Liars credit for with the break that they do. Is because each half of the season is like its own little like confined story, so it doesn't get watered down too much. And that, yes, there are still lulls, not as much as some other shows.
That's true.
So, gotta give it that much, and especially with the back half, with only 10 episodes total in the back half, there's no room for it. There's no room for it. So, yeah, it's gonna be rapid fire from here on out. So,
I sure hope so.
Yep. So, I think that about does it. Nikki, where can the people find you?
They can find me on Twitter at LadyVenom24, LadyVenom24.
Excellent. You can find me down below at Phenomenon, PHENOMEDOM. And you can find us all and more on Facebook, Gmail, G+, Twitter, and right here on YouTube at /ASOTV podcast for some more podcasts for some of your favorite TV shows, games, like Liars and Lament. And
Not
movies.
like Liars. No.
No? Until next time. See you later. You're really not gonna say anything? What?
Nah, no, I'm not.
Oh, okay.